Buenos dias, GCTV. Back at it, you already know. Like two tortas with some snack habits. Now, in a Menudo Star, in a direct fashion, man, I wanted to talk about an incident that took place, allegedly took place, and there can be some repercussions for that. You know, it's a big situation or a big deal when something as serious as unity is compromised. Something as serious as a stand down or a half 60 is, ran over basically. Basically, when two entities, man, two big groups decide not to form an alliance, but decide to work hand in hand on yards in prison or to stand down and end animosity, end hostilities, and then an incident happens that just you can't prevent, or maybe you could, but you decide not to. There's going to be repercussions for the actions. That's a fact, man. It has to be. And it's an ugly situation. Now, we all know that hostilities between Nortenos and Sureños was ended a while back, almost over 10 years ago ended. There's been a lot of stories coming out of behind them walls of North and South incidences where they have worked hand in hand. They have worked together. There's been several incidences where Norteños have backed the play of Sureños, as well as Sureños back in the play of Norteños. Now, I said it a long time ago, man, and a lot of people said it. This is not an alliance. These two groups, I don't think we'll ever see eye to eye to come together as a force like that. But there are some situations because of being brown, because of being raza, where you have to pick and choose your battles. You have to pick and choose who's right and who's wrong. When it comes to the raza, there's always going to be that form of tribalism. There's always going to be that form of we're better than you or you're better than us. And that's just how it's going to be, man. It's been like that for decades, and it's going to continue to be like that. So anyways, Pelican Bay is a very dangerous prison. We know the story about the Pelican Bay incident as far as, the riot that happened between the blacks and the Southerners, allegedly. And that gives, anyone going to Pelican Bay some type of apprehension, some type of nerves, because of what happened there, the history of the situation that happened there. So anyone hears the word Pelican Bay, you hear about going to that prison. I can only imagine being on the bus on the way to that prison. I never got a chance to go to that prison. I'm glad I didn't. I never touched down there, but I've had a lot of homeboys that have touched down there. I know a lot of individuals that have touched down there that said, mainly the worst part about being in that prison was being so far away from your family, being obsolete when it comes to being in your family's life, being put away, being put on the shelf. Anytime you're in prison, you're being put on the shelf. We'll get back to you later. But somewhere like Pelican Bay, high desert, these prisons that are so far away from anywhere, I can only imagine being apart from your family. Now, I did do time in Susanville, so I was right down the street from high desert. So I know what it is to be in no man's land. But at the same time, it's a different element of people, a different level going to these prisons like Pelican Bay, high desert, Salinas Valley. So anyways, with this end of hostilities, we haven't heard too many North and South incidences. In fact, I haven't heard one. I've heard of them, doing removals on their own, things still steadily happening, and I hate to speak on the politics of the situation of why things go down in prison. Prison is a powder keg, man. Anything can happen at any given time. We can all be under the assumption out here, man, that everything is lovely, everything is gravy in the Navy. It's all good out there. And at the end of the day, it might not be like that. At the end of the day, there's always new people coming in and out of prison, and things change, programs change, llaveros change. People that want to maintain the yard comfortably for their people and do what they got to do, there's reasons behind everything. So in Pelican Bay, a day ago, there was a North and South incident for the first time in a long time. A real one. It seems that, the kitchen area, and I've worked several kitchens in prisons, you have to be very aware when you're in the kitchen, and I'm talking about not in the chow hall in the front where you get your food and you eat. You always got to keep your head on swivel. Prison is prison, but I'm talking about in the kitchen. So I guess there was an incident, a North and South incident where, there was 4 Northerners and a couple Southsiders. And for some reason or another, a couple of these Northerners found themselves allegedly locked in a freezer or locked in a refrigerator, and the other Nortenos were moved on. Now, in a situation like this, when your rival, your traditional rival gets moved on, that usually starts guerra. That's usually all-out war. That's a declaration of war. Now, what does a declaration of war means? It takes one major incident or something to basically put a stamp on it and say, this is it, man. This is all-out war. It doesn't matter about a truce. Doesn't matter about a end of hostility. Anything can be broken when you overstep boundaries or overstep the rules. And it's a fucked up situation because a lot of good, solid vatos, man, good men have worked behind the scenes to establish, a truce or to establish this end of hostilities, and it can be gone just like that. Now, nobody knows what led up to this situation, but this situation did in fact allegedly happen. As far as the Nortenos getting moved on by Southsiders, this ain't nothing new, and vice versa. It ain't nothing new. Anytime that you get two strong-minded, very structured groups, very militant groups, raza, in the same vicinity, it's only a matter of time before there's going to be a situation or incident. This could have been basically, vatos talking shit about each other, a disrespect that you just can't take. And one thing I know about prison is, in prison, man, you have to move smoothly with a purpose, meaning everything has to be the way it has to be. You can't just take the initiative to get your roll on and get your groove on without people knowing about it. Now, if you do get disrespected, if you're called a bitch or a punk or certain words or certain actions that you just can't take, you have to save face because of the man you are, then and only then can situations just happen like that. And even then, man, you're going to be questioned on it by your people. There's going to be repercussions just the way it is. So for this incident to take place, these two vatos being locked in a refrigerator, it seems like this was a planned out, methodical move. Now, if this move was sanctioned by the people who are running the yarda for the Southsiders, it's definitely a situation where it is a declaration of war and the hostilities has been broken, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Now, to think that the Nortenos just get moved on and are not going to retaliate or handle their business, man, that's far-fetched. They're definitely in a situation now where they can only do one or two things. Either they knew about it and didn't give a fuck, man, and it was all planned out that way. Maybe these individuals were disrespecting their people were got at, like, hey, your homies are getting at us a certain way. We're not going to take it lightly, and it was like, deal with it. But one thing I know about the Nortenos is you cannot touch a Norteño if you're not one. You cannot touch, the gente or the raza. We will protect our people. That's what we were always told when I was an active Norteño. Same thing goes for the Sureño. No one will touch your gente, your people, the skinheads, the whites, the brothers. If anyone else in prison decides to lay a finger or a hand in a hostile way towards your people, man, that's war. That's guerra. Straight up. That is the declaration of that. It's always been everybody deals with their own. Now, there have been certain situations where it's like, hey, homies, your people done told on me. My crime partner's a black dude. He done told on me. Either you guys get rid of him, homies, or we're going to have to do a movida on him. And they're like, no, we're going to protect him. He's black, this, and that. And then the whole yard gets shut down and everyone goes off because of that one particular dude. I've seen it so many times happen. But in more than likely, in most situations, gente will deal with their own people. All you got to do is produce the paperwork, produce the righteous spiel, and people are going to be like, okay, we got that. We got that covered. State blanket shit. Itchy but warm. Now, in this incident, it's a very temperamental situation because you have Norteños versus Sureños, and we haven't said that in a long time. Now, I know the streets, man, gets played out the way the streets gets played out. As far as a truce or an end of hostilities on the streets, I'm talking about in Northern California, that's never seemed to take place or never seemed to happen. There's too much bad blood. There's too much young-minded individuals that don't like to take dictation from another man. There's too much going on, too many moving parts to really settle one situation. So it's continued, and sometimes these individuals get locked up and they don't want to conform to the realities of prison or to the politics. See, I've noticed that a lot. Back in our days, politics was what they were. When you got locked up, you understood that everything stopped at the door. If you had problems with another neighborhood or you had problems with a personal problems with an individual, that shit stopped at the door. We all got along. We all came together as one. We all listened to what was supposed to happen. That's just the way it was. There was no questions asked. You didn't even think about it. There was things you mentioned, things you didn't. You never questioned the authority figures. That's not how it went down. That was the way things stood structured. That was the way things stood pura. That was the way things stood right. Because you needed to understand as a man and as a gang member, there was certain people you were going to answer to, or there was going to be repercussions for your action. And it wasn't more scariness or being scared. It was more so being down with the program, knowing what you signed up for, rolling with the punches. Everyone's had to do it since the beginning of time, every group faction, and that's just the way it is, North and South. But things have changed now. Now you got a lot of these youngsters and a lot of people that are not listening or don't want to listen to the next man, believe that they're stronger or they're more powerful, or I'm not going to listen to it, conform to what another man says. And homie, no one's going to lead me. There always must be leaders and followers, and that's just a part of the game. Whether you're a leader or a follower, Holmes, doesn't mean you're less than. It just means that's just the way it is. Some people have them skills to lead you to the promised land. If there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians, Holmes, you're never going to win. Anyway, so the situation takes place at Pelican Bay, North and South. Let's dissect it and analyze it. For two individuals to be locked in a refrigerator, they must have not been very aware, or it must have been a smooth move, to get these guys there. But when you start to work around people in the kitchen, and this is truth, you start to become comfortable a little bit. I've been in situations where I've worked in kitchens around, opposition or rivals. You start to form, when you work closely with someone, it's like being in the army or being anywhere. You start to let your guard down. You start to know these people, have conversations. So it could have been a point where they rocked him to sleep. There's been plenty of people that get rocked to sleep, like, hey, homie, we need some carrots out the thing. Can you go in the refrigerator and get us? We got you, right? Bam, we got you too. And that's it. Now, for this to happen, for the Nortenos to get booked and moved on, this is a big deal. This is a big deal for Raza, because this could possibly, touch every different prison. Now, most situations I've noticed in a lot of prisons nowadays are very isolated. It's an isolated situation, whereas Pelican Bay business is Pelican Bay business, Salinas Valley is Salinas Valley business, and a lot of the things that happen don't affect. But when it comes to Mexicanos, when it comes to North and South, that has statewide ramifications. Usually, if they're not getting along, they're not getting along nowhere. Now, there's been many incidences where I've heard, a brother that I get at, man, that just got out of doing time in high desert, was getting at me. And he was telling me, he looked at one of my spills and he was like, hey, it's no longer any type of alliances between North and blacks at all, homie. He goes, I know on the streets, it's always been love. It's all good. That's why we're on the phone right now. But in real life, he goes, it's North and South in there, man, against everybody, homie. They're tearing shit up. And I said, wow, I never thought I'd see the day that two big groups like this would come together. It just was too far-fetched. It was not even in my realm of thought, but to see it gradually over time and this last decade come together like butt cheeks, I said, God dang, man, this is different. Now, whatever happened in Pelican Bay between the Norteños and the Sureños, I'm sure will either be talked out, discussed, or retaliation will happen. There's no way that the Norteños will get moved on in a situation where they were they were not in the know. More than likely, this situation, and that's the thing with this YouTube shit. A lot of the different content creators are going to give you their version, their spill, their perspective on it. There's a lot that you could take from that, and there's a lot you shouldn't. And in real life, when it comes to something as temperamental and as real as this situation, make sure that you do your due diligence and your homework in what you believe, because any man can tell you anything. But at the end of the day, none of us are behind those walls. None of us are back there. A lot of us have been behind those walls, but things change daily. Things nowadays, back in the days, it was very structured where it was the same old thing every day. Nowadays, things are changing. Things are progressing. Things are fucking moving. Now, will it go back to North versus South? Quite possibly. There's no way I see the Norteños not retaliating for this movida, because whatever Norteños are on that yard, if they got moved on, it's only a matter of time and a must that they handle their business. And all that's going to do is breed more bad blood between these two groups. It's a situation where, like I said, a man's hard work and everything that people put into it, can just go like that. But such is life, and that's prison. You know, when you have two different mentalities as far as what their program is and where they're trying to get, it was only a matter of time. I said it before. You know, it was either going to be the ultimate sacrifice, and someone was going to say, you know what, we're going to let you lead, because there can't be two groups that come together that have leaders. There can only be one, man. There's only one alpha. There's only one big dog. There's only one alpha male. That's the way it is in life. You know, you lead, we follow, or vice versa. You know, so for something like this to have happened, there will be retaliation, more than likely. You know, if not, then that goes to show you exactly, you know, what time it is. Now, I've never known Norteños to be cowards at all. I know you see a lot of this little bullshit on YouTube where people are fighting back and forth and the disrespect, and you see people pulling up to corner stores woofing and people get socked in their faces and things like that. And you automatically assume, but on both sides, North and South, there is no such thing as a cowardice individual in prison. There are cowardice acts that happen. Individuals roll it up or get on, or they don't want to be involved in the pleito no more. They decided it's not for them. Whatever. That's considered a cowardice act. I'll take that, right? But as far as cowards that will not pick up weaponry and handle their business, you don't see that much in prison. Not in California. That's not going to happen. It just ain't. You will be accounted for. You will go out there and handle your business. So to see the Norteños just bow down and not retaliate for this incident, I can't see that. Now, of course, I'm sure the authorities, the administration is very aware. You know, the gang tasks in there are very aware. See, there's a thing called IGI in there, for those of you that don't know. And they watch everything, Holmes. They have these black patches. They mob around. The cucuys, when they hit the yard, and they like to frequent the yard or frequent the buildings from time to time, when they come, they tear your cell up. They know the exact cells to go to. Anyone who's telling or dropping kites or giving up information, these guys got their hand in it. These guys got their hand on it. So best believe they're very skilled in realizing and recognizing what's going on that yard. You know, a lot of these hits and a lot of the pegadas that happen, they already knew about them, Holmes. They just let people hang their own selves. They give them the rope to do it. That's just how it is. It's always been like that. And everybody is aware of everything. All the gang members are aware that these guys know, and these guys are aware that the gang members know. It's a cat and mouse game. You know, so best believe that the yard will be locked down and watched very closely. Now, this affects not only North and South, but it affects everybody of that institution. It affects everybody of Pelican Bay, because now Pelican Bay is on ice. Now there's friction and tension. Now you got the brothers in the corner wondering what the hell's going on with the essays. You got the whites wondering who are they going to assist. You know, do the Southerners, do they assist the Southerners or not? There's just a lot of things that's going on, I'm sure, you know, politically on that yard. And I guess, you know, you will be abreast of it when it happens. You know, I don't really like to speak on politics anymore on my channel. I don't like to disrespect, you know, these individuals that are doing their time. But at the same time, this is a situation that I've spoke on. Being a person that pushes unity, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say, you know, for the Sureños to have moved on the Norteños, man, it's an ugly thing. It's a very ugly thing. If that's the case, you know, you never know. There's been moves in the game where, you know, Vatos got moved on, but it was sanctioned. Handle your business. But I, myself, man, personally, as being an active Norteño back in the days, I had never, ever seen, you know, a spot where, unless you couldn't get to the Vato and you had to use those crazy tactics, you're in the hoyo, and they're the only one that could get to them. No, at no point in time a Norteño will allow another group to put hands on their people, to touch their people. And it goes like that with the Sureños as well. So if these Sureños did move on these Norteños have no choice but to retaliate. And that, of course, is a declaration of war. And it is what it is. With that being said, I hope that you move with a purpose, get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, man, all we can do out here is live our life to the best of our acknowledgement, to the best of what we can do. What's going on in prison, and that's why I tell you youngsters, and that's why I tell people, go if you want. What could be good today ain't good tomorrow. What you think is moving smooth with the purpose in there ain't moving at all. You can get clapped on real quick in prison. Prison changes from day to day. It might be boredom, it might be dangerous, but even worse than that, man, it's the change, homie. You don't never know what you got coming. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's bringing you guys the best entertainment I can. Oh, and we're going to clear some shit up. So I did a video a while back talking about, I'm going to move on from Gunners Collective. I'm gonna keep it pushing and this and that. You know, I was in some sort of a legal battle as far as with my name, man. Motherfuckers was trying to say that my name was copyrighted, this and that. Bullshit. You know, what they did is they went behind my back, tried to do a bamboozle move, copyright my shit. Didn't work, man. I'm with the Z, not the S. And everything worked, right? And it took me time to figure it out. So until then, I got away from my name. But, you know, people are like, well, you didn't say that. You said you were progressing. I'm always progressing. I'm always going to rebrand. I'm always trying to change. I'm always trying to better myself and get away from bullshit. And that's constantly what I'm going to continue to do. So no, I'm not bullshitting anyone or lying to anyone or disrespecting anyone. Hey, homie, I'm going to do what I does in my life, whatever makes things better for me and my family. And that's what it is. With that being said, take that one to the bank. Bang, bang, the gun.